All right, now those projects need a good project manager, and this PM is shown here as a hero, flying away. Maybe he's just jumping over his desk. So the PM here is responsible for the outcome of the project deliverables. Something that many people, are confused about. You don't have to be a technical expert. If you want to be a PM, you are not required to be a technical expert. Meaning, I could run an IT project and not be an IT person. I could run a construction project and not be from the construction domain. I've actually done that. So I've built my house, but I'm not really a construction person, but I was able to do it. I could roll out 500 beds at a hospital, hospital beds, and I don't know anything about hospitals or beds, except that I sleep on a bed. But the PM, what they do is they go and meet with the right people, get their requirements, and based on the requirements is able to figure out the scope that needs to be implemented, and they lead a team for the implementation of the project requirements. So you don't really need to be a technical expert. Imagine if you had to be a technical expert, and let's say a hospital in your area needs someone to roll out 200 new beds for whatever need, and they only want to hire a hospital bed project manager. And I mean, there's no certification for hospital bed project manager. There's no field of study for hospital beds project management. But you can work with the supplier of the hospital beds and figure out the requirements from the hospital side, from their side, and then you can get that overseen and implemented successfully. So you don't need to be a technical expert, but you do need to be empowered to be able to use resources and delegate some of these responsibilities, because why? You are ultimately responsible. For you to be ultimately responsible and be held accountable, you need to have a little more power to get things done. Doesn't mean you have to be a boss, but you need to be authorized, basically, to be able to make decisions or spend budgets and so on. So that's really essential if you're going to be a PM. You can't be a PM with no abilities whatsoever. Again, you don't have to be a boss, but they need to give you some room to make decisions. It's like a bird needs its wings. It cannot fly without the wings. Without the wings, it can only fly one way, downward, right? So you need the wings for you to be able to fly. And those wings are the empowerment that they give to the PM to be able to decide a few things. All right. Now, there are different types of organizations. The functional organization here is the one that is made, is structured based on departments. So different departments with their department heads and so on. And really, the world of projects is distant from that. Departments don't really think, although they run projects, it's the head of department usually would run the project, not really a PM per se, but if you go to a projectized organization, those they run on projects only, and departments are not really important to them. Most of the time, contractors are projectized because they don't really have departments. They focus more on selling the project, and then they put a team together and they manage that one project. Think about a construction contractor. If they don't have any construction projects, they don't really need a team. So they don't really build departments like that. They just hire people for the project. And then you have matrix organizations. These are mixed, all right? There's weak matrix, strong matrix, balanced matrix. The strong matrix usually has a strong presence of project management. The weak matrix has a low presence of project management. It doesn't mean they're weak or strong, but that's weak matrix means weak presence of project management, strong matrix, strong presence of project management. In a strong matrix, for example, there's a PMO. If all the PMs are under the PMO and do not report to different departments, then we can say you have a strong matrix organization. If they're sitting inside the departments, the PMs, but they follow the rules and policies of the PMO, then you most likely have more of a balanced matrix. A balanced matrix means, yes, there are PMs and so on, but they are in different departments. And the PM in a department has to please the rules of the PMO, but also please their boss, who is the head of that department. So you could fall anywhere in that range. For a PM, some of the key skills you need to be able to lead. I think I mentioned that earlier. You need to be able to influence, drive the project beginning to end, negotiate, not for money, negotiate for the right resources. If you go to a department and say, I need help from your department. Let's say you go to the engineering or the other department, you say, I need help from your department. There are some requirements that we need to figure out for our project. And I was wondering if I could get a resource from your side on, let's say, Wednesday in the morning to help me out. If that department head says no, you need to negotiate for, and make a case for why you need someone. And if they give you the wrong person, then you need to negotiate for the right person. So negotiating, you need to do this every now and then, and you need to negotiate with skills, and you have to have the art of negotiation. You have to be able to influence the way they think about your request so that they can give you what you want. So if you don't have this, basically you're a PM who's waiting and hoping that everything lines up successfully for them, which is not always going to happen. Most of the time, projects will beat you down. Challenges will come because nobody else would care typically about your project. Everybody cares about their own. So because of that, you need to be the one who's pulling all the strings, but doing it without people hating you. You have to have a creative way of asking for things or coming up with solutions to problems. You can't go to your boss to solve a problem for you. If you've been doing that, you need to stop. Find the possible options to deal with a problem, figure out which one is the best one, then go to your boss and say, we have a problem, but I want to handle it like this. Are you okay with that? You're giving them a solution to think about rather than giving them a problem to think about. Those are things that make you stand out as a reliable PM compared to others who are complaining all the time. That's all they do. Every time you ask them about the project, they go, oh my God, I faced this issue and that one. Oof, why do I need you as a PM? If I need to hear these things, I'll talk to my kids. They will complain. I don't need that. So you need to be very skillful in how you handle this project so it comes out as you can trust me to handle this one project. So communication that you see here, there's an art to communication. The way you talk, the way you document, the way you present in the meetings, the way you drive that meeting, these are all essential skills, and you need to be good at that. Responsibilities are many. I have it on a couple of slides here. I'll just go through them quickly, but I won't talk about them in detail. You need to develop the plan and implement it for the project, which means schedule, budget, communication, quality, everything. Resources. You need to achieve all the objectives that were given to you. Usually those objectives will be given to you in the charter of the project. And then you need to pull all the pieces together. You need to communicate to the boss, let them know what's going on, updates on a frequent basis. You also need to communicate with the technical team and understand what's going on. You need to prepare reports and manage all the different players and stakeholders. And people are tough to deal with. Objects are easier to deal with than people. People can be really, really tough. Sometimes because of indifference, they just don't care. And that indifference really makes it hard to get them to support you in any way. And some people don't like when you have to ask them to do anything, even if it means just to pull up something that they have on their laptop and share it with you. They don't want to trouble themselves. So only the person who owns the project really cares. So stakeholders include also your bosses who are expecting you to get some things done, even with no support sometimes from anyone. So you need to manage those relationships with them to make sure expectations are properly set, understand the priorities. Is it money, time, quality? Is it keep it internal? I mean, what is it that they really care about? Is it features, functions? Is that the priority? Make sure you know how to deal with change. If you don't, then expectations that are set from day one, even if things go wrong, will still be expected, and you cannot have that. You need to make sure those expectations are being changed along the way. Acquiring staff, keeping them, motivating them. I don't know that you're always responsible for acquiring or keeping, but you are responsible for motivating anyone who's helping you on the project. Most of the time, people don't report to you, and so therefore, the only way you can get them to do work for you is to keep them motivated. So that's really important there. Deciding which tools or techniques you want to use. I will show you some tools. I'll show you a scheduling tool that is similar to MS Project. Are you guys familiar with MS Project or Primavera? How about Excel? You could use Excel for scheduling if you have to. How about planning in our head without having to document? Who's good at it? Don't raise your hands for that one. That one is a trick. Because that's how a lot of PMs are doing it. They're planning in their head. They say, trust me, my brain is as powerful as the best computers out there. Yeah, but if you're out that day, or if you don't feel like sharing the information, where would I read it? I'd have no resource to read it. So honestly, you need to know how to document stuff. You got to put it somewhere. Excel, MS Project, any other tool, put it somewhere. People should be able to follow what's going on the project easily. So PM needs to figure out the best tools to use and so on. And you have to know which technique works best, at the right time. That comes with experience. You also need to make sure you're not breaking rules, laws, violating, government instituted rules or law or regulations or ordinances. If there are conflicts in the team, you need to solve them. And I have a section on conflict management. You have to negotiate for win-win solutions, which means we both get to win. I know it sounds easy to understand, but most people can't do it. Most of the time, people are giving up something from the project or something from their side just to win something from the other side. That's not a win-win. That's you're losing and they're winning. So you have to know how, if you accept to do something, then expect that they do something. That's called a win-win. Okay, something that is good for both of you. Both of you are winning, but it may, and the only reason you need to negotiate is you want something from them. But for you to get it from them, you have to show them why it's good for them. And so you will win and they'll win at the end. This you need to do with department heads. Most of the time, if they're not supportive, you need to negotiate win-win conditions. Like, this is good for your department because it allows you to do explain it to them. But you want something from them. You want some file or some information that you need from them. You have to deliver on time within budget, manage all the risks, which many people are not really good at managing risks, so we'll cover that one at the right time. And make sure if you're responsible for the budget, then you deliver within that budget that was given to you.